So in this episode is not going to be a gear-centric episode. It's really about some tips and tricks, stuff that I learned while actually trying to develop my bird photography. So here we go. First tip that I always do before I even go out birding is to take my Sony 200 to 600 mounted on my A7 III, go outside, fully extend to 600 millimeters, so zoom in at 600 millimeters, point it at the sky, take a picture, go inside and have a look at the result, because I'm checking for micro dust. Yes, that's one of the things. If you're shooting at 20 millimeters like I am doing now, you won't see micro dust. When you go on to longer focal lengths, so 135 and above, you will see small smudges, small little pieces of dust on your sensor. So that's my first kind of tip and also trick. Do this before you go out. It will save you a lot in post. Now, obviously, the second part is, the second trick or tip is to clean your sensor. Yeah, and also use the proper swabs. Don't use the ones you put into your ear like I see in some of the cheaper kits. Really pay a little bit more that you get these specific swabs designed for cleaning very sensitive photo sensors, yeah, or photoallergic, whatever they call them. That's one of the things that I always do before I go out. Now, when you go out, and this is also one of the things that I've learned from my bird photography thing, is that the key determination is, yes, location, location, location. Bird photography is all about knowing which birds are where at what time of the day or what time of the season. That's something that I really learned, and the two tools I use for that is either on my iPhone, I use Maps and mark them where I saw some of the birds, or I go to Google Maps. The other way around, when I'm on Android, you basically mark your positions where you've seen certain birds, whether you're driving in your car, on your bike, walking around, mark them. It's great when you then go out and you know where to go, or at least you think where you want to go. Plus you build a little library of all kind of bird species you see around from wherever you live. Third point is gear. Yes, and I'm not talking about specific cameras or lenses. I'm really talking about get to know your gear. So if you're doing birding, you have a camera, get to know what your buffering speeds are when you're shooting in burst. Get to know how your autofocus behaves continuous versus single or zone. And get to know your lens. If I have my lens, yes, this is the Sony 200 to 600, a beast of a lens. And if you see here on the side, let me see, if you see here on the side, you definitely see all these buttons here sitting, and this is kind of the modes that you can shoot in. And to be very honest, it took me a bit of time to get to know this lens, and it's really rendered results. When I go birding, I like to go as light as possible. So that means one lens, one camera body, one tripod, and my trusted periscope seat. And that's it. The main reason for it being is 10-15 kilos of gear is nice for 5 kilometers, but if you're going to do 10, 15, 20, 25 kilometers of walking or hiking, you're going to feel it. And I really want to have just a simple combo with me. Now, I'm not sure what your shooting preferences are. I don't know very much about what you're doing. Share it in the comments below, and if you have some tips, let me know. Birding can be very, very disappointing to do, because sometimes you might not find the birds you're hoping for. Other times the results might not really render the way that you would love to see. So, yeah, but that's part of the entire birding experience. I compare it with fishing a lot. Yeah, if you talk to the average fisherman, the more they do it, the better they get. But they still have days that they're very disappointed because there is no fish. Same can happen with birding. Yeah, birds are unpredictable ones. I've been trying to photograph a falcon for about the better part of a year, and I still, I'm getting closer to his hunting grounds. I'm getting closer where he's normally building his nest with his lady, but still it's difficult. I could obviously ask a local photographer in the forest. They would know everything, but that's not really fun. It's also disappointing sometimes that you don't get the shot. Now, and then the last tip or trick is that once you start doing that birding, you'll notice that at times your pictures are not sharp, and that's where your editing comes in. You have things called Topaz Labs, which provide excellent software to kind of sharpen up your pictures without looking fake. Yeah, also one thing I learned, even with a 600 millimeters, it's better if you get to 2 to 3 meters close to a bird, which is not always that easy. So But once you have that software, it really allows you to get rid of some of the ISO noise. It allows you to enhance your image a bit. There's tons of it in that software. So yeah, those were my 5 little tips that I have for birding. Hope you enjoyed it.